This is a debate between Destiny and Alex Jones and a number of other people on the right. It's a debate on like Hunter Biden and China and all the other crazy stuff that they talk about. Anyway, so let's give this a listen, see what they have to say, and while we do, we're gonna play some Breath of the Wild too. I'm just kind of running around doing whatever. So if you never played it, shouldn't bother you too much. It'll be in the background. All right, let's listen to this, shall we?
But a social media company is not a newspaper. It is fundamentally different. A newspaper has an editor, they have reporters, they have people who are deciding, and some sort of hierarchical process determining.
Legally, they are different, newspapers and social media. That's true, yeah.
Determining
their utility
the front
law.
Page. But a social media company is closer to a communications platform.
I kind of opened a can of worms here, didn't I? What they're arguing is that social media should be regulated like a utility. It's a common argument. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I think that, like, should it be public or should it be private? I don't think it should be public, because if it were public, that would basically mean that, like, should it be owned by the government? If it were owned by the government, it would mean that any terms of service reinforcement or terms of service enforcement that takes place is technically government censorship. It's the government enforcing their positions or whatever. Any terms of service entered at all on here would be government censorship, effectively. So it would bring any kind of terms of service at all to a complete halt. And I really don't think that that's desirable or good or whatever. So I don't think it should be a public entity for that reason.
Closer to you using, I would argue, and this is more, I guess, philosophical than legal, but I would argue it's closer to you picking up your cell phone and calling somebody, or I guess
it's
texting
a utility.
Somebody.
Right,
and so the social media company
that's a good point,
comes more than that.
Because one of the defenses I've heard, even from the right, is the idea that Twitter was a private company and it wasn't the public square, even though it was treated that way. So that would be an effective defense, it seems. I don't agree. I think that they did seem to have a bias, but for the most part, they could still claim that
they didn't have a bias. Twitter, there was no bias there originally, and now that Elon took over, there is.
They're a private company. That algorithm was created by someone like Jack Dorsey, whoever.
But they were being directed by government consortiums and secret think tanks on dashboards on what to censor. That is government.
That's complete nonsense. That was not happening.
Corporate collusion. That is fascism by definition.
Okay, there is no, it's not fascism by definition, but okay, sure. That wouldn't be good if it were real. It's not real.
Right, and then so the question before us is, we can go back and forth all day about, did they break specific laws? Did they violate the First Amendment? Some people would argue yes. Some people might disagree because you don't see.
Yeah, this isn't up for debate. There is a factual answer here. Did they or not? This isn't something that's debated. Was Twitter violating people's First Amendment rights? The facts do not bear that out right now. Quick note before we continue, I'm writing a book about my experiences inside the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses. I cover the culture and doctrine. It's understandable even if you know literally nothing about the religion, so I'd appreciate it if you gave it a read. To find out more, go to owenmorgan.com/book. All links are in the description, of course. Okay, back to the video.
But the bigger question, I think, going forward is, okay, we can't put the genie back in the bottle of social media or whatever comes next in terms of social intercommunication, right? We're going to have, VR is probably the next level, Oculus, all the metaverse, all these different things. So we've got to come up with some way as a society, right? If we want to have individual liberty, if we want to have freedom, if you want to continue to have freedom of speech, and by the way, especially in the weeks right before a major presidential election, right? So it's also the repercussions here. This isn't like, somebody posted, like Alex Jones posted a meme and he got banned for 12 hours. This is actual information that was prevented from getting to the American people.
But the biggest problem...
That's just fabricated. This wasn't actual information prevented from reaching the American people. The New York Post and whoever else is still perfectly free to post whatever they want on their own platform. Nothing wrong with that. Be my guest. And they did. They posted their news article about Hunter Biden's laptop all over their website, and it spread like wildfire to other right-leaning media and all that other junk. This is not an example of government censorship. Again, even if it was banned for 1 day. It was removed for 1 day, for 24 hours, basically, before being reinstated and spreading like wildfire once again, even though it was most definitely Russian disinformation.
I think is not. I think it's taken care of itself. There are Rumble and all these different platforms are coming up, Minds. But my worry is that no one can agree on a fixed point of truth. Nobody can agree even on the sources.
So why should we?
Information. Sorry.
I'm sorry. What are you talking about? No one can agree. Well, the thing about truth is that it's objective. Either it's true or it's not true. I don't care if you agree with the facts or not. They are still facts. He says no one can agree on what is true. We should base things on real, objective, factual truth. I don't care if you agree on sources or not. There are objectively true things. Reuters is a good source for news and stuff. We could try Reuters. AP News, that's pretty good too. There are extremely unbiased sources that you can go with. But these people are absolutely obsessed with the idea that they're like under attack, being persecuted, and that this is just a big lie by blah, 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 whatever. It's insane. Get help.
So why should we?
Information. Sorry?
So why should we?
Right. I mean, it's like
I couldn't.
That's why the
saying
Wild
why
West is what
should
we
we?
want.
Well, I worry, though, that we can't, it's very difficult to even agree on what the truth is. So if I were to say, well, here's what I think, and then you said, where'd you...
It may be difficult for you, but there is a truth. There's an objective, factual truth. Truth is not subjective. That's what he's saying. Truth is subjective. No, it's not. It's either true and it's real, or it isn't true and real. I don't care if you agree with it or not. It's irrelevant.
You get that? I'd say, well, Fox News, and you'd stop me, you'd cut me off at the knee. Somebody would say, that's bullshit because they lie across the board.
Right.
And then we can't even actually have a dialogue. And that's what I think is the biggest worry.
Well, that's what's happening right now. That these people are pulling complete nonsense out of their ass and claiming that it's true when it's simply not.
That it seems to me that there doesn't seem to be, we for the first time in history, information is so atomized, and we have been able to purify our echo chambers. And so it's very easy to surround myself with people that agree with me. And pretty soon I start thinking that is the...
Destiny is starting to regret every life choice he's made up to this point. He's like, is this a complete waste of my f***ing time? Quick interjection, this won't take long. If you like what I do, it would be awesome if you guys checked out my Patreon. All links are in the description, of course. Okay, back to the video.
Only truth.
Well,
And
I know this.
I don't know how to get out of
From
that.
all the congressional hearings and all the evidence, populist conservatives, classic Americans, classical liberals are under attack, are being censored.
Oh my God. Classical liberals, in their mind, in Alex Jones's mind specifically, means right-wing extremist.
Being targeted, or being debanked, or being harassed. So we know that the establishment has wrapped itself in a liberal garb. It has nothing to do with what they're actually doing. And they are attacking and censoring and surveilling. Because it's not just censoring. To censor, you've got to surveil. And we have the documents. We know there's been a huge campaign of suppressing populist voices that are against the establishment Washington global consensus. So
I don't know what he's talking about.
let's just not lie about that. And if the pendulum starts swinging back and the right wing becomes authoritarian, like George W. Bush, I'll be against it like I was then. But right now, the big corporations posing as liberals are kicking our ass and are surveilling us and censoring us and controlling us. And we just need to get down to brass tacks and say, go back to the Wild Wild West, let the public make their own decisions.
No, oh my God. The Wild West exists already. It's called 4chan and 8chan. We don't need Twitter to be that. It's already an extremist haven. Oh my God, dude. Please don't turn. I mean, Twitter's already kind of turning into its own little version of 4chan and 8chan. My God. You guys remember when, what's his name? When Jordan Peterson came on there on Twitter and said, it's getting harder to find CP on here, smiley face. Oh, God. Let me see if I can find that. Hang on. Jordan Peterson, getting harder to find. Yeah, here you go, right here. And it's getting just impossible to find CP, smiley face. ... smiley face. Oh, I love it, dude. That is funny. tell us what you're searching for without telling us what you're searching for, right?
Turn off all the controls other than going after criminals. That's the only answer.
Stephen, I know it might not be as much fun if you agreed or were against the Twitter files, but like, are you or were against? Like, are you actually okay with what was happening with the government in Twitter?
Well, I think that's the interesting
There wasn't anything happening with the government in Twitter. It's just made up.
question is nobody seems to know what the government was doing. It seems like everybody thinks that like the government was there to try to censor bad media about political opponents of Donald Trump, and that was the whole point. The real answer, I think, is that post 2016, I think there is a huge scare that online platforms are being used, especially by foreign adversaries that are misrepresenting themselves to try to change the public discourse. So the question is should our intelligence agencies be involved in any size, shape, or form in alerting social media to these things? And I think that's an interesting question. I think that there's room for communication there. There probably needs to be a lot of transparency. I know before Elon.
That's interesting. So Destiny. So really, I guess the question is, should the FBI or CIA or NSA or whoever help, reveal things that are happening or explain to social media companies what various state actors are doing that, to affect various things, the election systems or whatever, spread conspiracy theories? Should the CIA alert people to that? And the answer is, in Destiny's mind, yeah, a little bit. I think I agree. Honestly, yeah, I agree. I think that they should alert them. Although I feel that I'll just leave it at that. I was going to say I could be convinced that maybe they should just make it all completely public, but I don't think that they should make it completely public necessarily. I think that there's room for movement on that even.
Elon acquired Twitter, they would, for instance, they post a report at the end of the year showing how many government requests they got or how many they fulfilled, the percentage that they fulfilled. But I don't think the idea that the government can't communicate whatsoever or give any sort of heads up whatsoever to companies is the answer. I don't think it's very realistic. And I think
yeah, okay, I agree.
There's probably ways to do that.
Let me just say this. Prior to Elon taking over, anybody knew you tried to post a medical doctor criticizing shots, you got banned. You tried to post somebody questioning an election result, whether they're right or wrong, they're banned.
Well, this goes back to the fact that there is an objective truth. The vaccines, objectively, factually, in truth, did not cause any ill effects for mass populations the way that Alex Jones claimed. That's just how it is. So I'm 100% completely okay with Twitter not banning, but slowing down the spread, telling people that they need to delete tweets and stuff if they're intentionally spreading disinformation about the vaccines or whatever. I'm totally okay with that.
Try to question, you show a video of an open border, you're banned. Everybody experienced being banned, so you can gaslight people all day.
I didn't ever experience being banned. I was not banned at all on Twitter. I wasn't even censored. They didn't even tell me I need to delete this tweet unless blah, blah, blah. That didn't happen. And I was on Twitter a lot. I said all kinds of stuff on Twitter. No one ever took action against my account at any point. Did not happen.
They know they got suppressed for what they saw and what they did, and that's not fair. We should be able to watch it all.
You know what's fascinating, actually? Let me tell you what I find really interesting. I was on Twitter forever ago, before Elon took over. And during the COVID era, when COVID was happening, I was talking about COVID nonstop. In fact, I even tweeted out videos of people claiming that COVID was fake. I tweeted out videos of them saying it was fake, for real. And nothing happened. I didn't get banned. I didn't get, censored. Nothing. Nothing at all took place. So, one has to wonder, was this really happening? I created a second Twitter account called Telltale Clips where I intended to upload clips that I talk about on my channel or whatever. And the first set of 5 clips that I uploaded, the Twitter account got shut down. They said, delete this video or you can't blah, 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 whatever. So brand new accounts who had never posted anything before with absolutely no context suddenly come in and start tweeting about vaccine hesitancy. They were censored. Absolutely. But people who had accounts and were talking about vaccine hesitancy or whatever, accounts that had existed for, longer than 15 minutes, were not censored at all. They were perfectly free to voice their opinions, even if they were the wrong opinions. Even if they were based on factually incorrect information. So in my opinion, banning information about like vaccines or whatever en masse, they were likely just censoring new accounts that were very possibly, and in fact maybe even likely, troll accounts or sock accounts created by foreign agents or whatever, whoever.
All of it and decide what's real, what's fake. I'm not worried about deep fakes. Anybody can watch something and say, that's not Joe Rogan saying that. That's a deep fake. And if an idiot gets fooled by it, that's fine. The control over arbitrating what's real and what's not is what we should really worry about.
Yeah.
Wow, I find that fascinating. He's not worried about deep fakes. So he's saying we shouldn't be worried about you're trying to moderate online, even if there are deep fakes. I don't care if people are fooled by Joe Rogan deepfakes. If they are fooled by that, then they're idiots. That's really interesting to me, actually. There will come a time when deepfakes are so good that everybody will be fooled by them. In fact, we're basically already there, nearly. We're already at the point where video footage is doctored heavily in an attempt to make people look really, really bad. Like, Joe Biden was talking about Donald Trump saying that that the airports were attacked in the Revolutionary War or whatever the hell it was. I don't even remember what it was now exactly. Donald Trump said that, and Joe Biden brought that up. The right clipped it out and just removed any context about Donald Trump and just had Joe Biden saying that stuff about airports in the Revolutionary War. Joe Rogan picked up on it and thought that it was real, thought that Biden really said that, and condemned Biden as being like mentally gone because he's talking about airports in the Revolutionary War. This stuff already happens. It doesn't have to be deep fakes that trick people. It can be real videos that are clipped out of context. That already happens. And in my opinion, that stuff should be regulated heavily. That stuff should not be allowed to spread. Fake, false videos like that. Of anybody. I don't care who it is, even Trump.
And also, if I could just say, this is not just politics. I mean, to me, one of the things that's been motivating is what happened to people like Jay Bhattacharya and Kuldorf.
Happened to who?
At Harvard, who were great epidemiologists who were censored by the social media companies.
I have no idea who they're talking about. I've never heard of these people. You ever seen those commercials for like toothpaste? 9 in 10 dentists recommend blah blah blah. Were they the 10th dentist? I mean, if 90 out of 100 scientists recognize that COVID is harmful, and then like that very, very tiny little percentage at the other end says, no, it's all fake, it's made up, they're the deep state globalists, lizard people. I don't care what their credentials are. I'm perfectly okay with that being like shadow banned or held back a little bit for fear that disinformation is spreading all over the place. I'm perfectly fine with that.
It's because they had a different point of view about COVID, and they turned out to be right about the.
But Adam,
they did not turn out to be right.
Turned out to be right.
They turned out to be right.
They did not. They were lying then. And these people are lying now. These people did not turn out to be right about COVID.
Adam, speaking...
They weren't just censored, they were right.
Adam.
Why is Destiny not stepping in right now? This is absurd. What is he doing?
Speaking to what Destiny just said, like, where do you see any wiggle room for the government to reach out?
I don't think the government has a business in our speech unless it's a crime.
So, look, you go to D.C. and you have all these people from the intelligence agencies talking about there's misinformation and disinformation, and I was once corrected confusing the two.
They're the worst.
Yeah, disinformation is stuff that's intentionally being spread with the goal of misinforming people. It's spread to trick people. Misinformation is unintentionally spreading that information, spreading disinformation, not realizing that, this is how it is or whatever. They're both equally as destructive, but one has intentionality behind it, I think.
Right, and the point is, the cure is, as always, it's more information.
No, more information? No, it's not. I mean, more information would be great in theory, but that's not a solution to the problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Buy my pillow.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
Did you know Jack Posobiec secretly married Mike Lindell 2 years ago in Las Vegas?
Spreading disinformation, I guess.
Alex, I told you that in confidence. You said you would be our witness if I paid you off.
The difference is I'm marrying him. He's mine.
I saw him first. It was that mustache. It began with that dang mustache.
Yeah, okay. It's not a very funny joke, but all right. I guess they're trying to joke. In all seriousness, Mike Lindell's mustache is just terrible.
It's a
He's up at
sexy
the bar there. You could talk to him if you'd like. So.
Mike Lindell's up there?
Exactly. No, don't get too excited.
Oh my God. Is Mike Lindell really here tonight?
He's been drinking some Bud Light,
Yeah,
folks.
sorry about that.
He's entertaining as hell. We need to get him down here. No, Jack and I battle over Mike Lindell. He was married to him for a month, me for a month. It's like
We're joint custody.
we're having a child. It was Super Mario Brothers.
Steven, but about the coordinated
I don't get it. We're having a child, Super Mario Brother?
about the coordinated action that Adam is discussing, I feel like that term hasn't really come up, and like that is a new phrase that I haven't heard you address.
I think the issue, I think what's happening is we're in a new era where there's a lot of information. There's huge platforms that have huge levers on American society for control over our elections, right? The information that propagates on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter is affecting a lot of people. There's a lot of people that watch it. There's a lot of people that make decisions based off of it. And I think social media platforms are trying to navigate this really difficult terrain of figuring out how much responsibility they feel they have to that public discourse. But I mean, the conversation is infinitely shitted up with the fake request for the Hunter Biden laptop that didn't happen.
Yes, oh my God. It's just gummed up with all this ridiculous nonsense.
Biden laptop that didn't happen, or the censoring
the Hunter
Republicans or
Biden's
whatever.
fake.
It's on the
So we never-
FEC.gov.
we never
Not
actually
election
have-
meddling.
we never actually
These
get to have-
throwaway lines. Oh, it's
Okay, yeah. Alex Jones is... this isn't poisoning the well. What is this propaganda tactic? I'm not sure what you would call it. There's probably a name for it, but it's where he's pretending that everything is ridiculous and crazy and he's a conspiracy theorist. I guess he's just lying, just straight up lying. Is that a propaganda technique? He's just lying? I don't know.
fake.
I'd be happy
the
to
fake
share the link,
request
man.
for Hunter
It's-
Biden's
it's
laptop.
still on FEC.gov.
Dude, you never bring
It's
the
right
goods.
there.
You just have a throwaway line and claim we're not giving it. It's real.
So
it's on
sure,
record.
the goods
it's
are
criminal.
sure. So the good.
It's not. It's completely fabricated.
Claim we're not giving it. It's
Sure,
real.
okay, so
it's on
sure,
record.
the goods
it's
are
criminal.
So the goods are that Elvis Chan, who was Yoel Roth's contact at the FBI, did not know that the FBI even had that laptop until the story broke, which he also testified in front of Congress about. He also testified.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how much of this is accurate. I'm suspicious. I don't even know who Yoel Roth or Elvis Chan is or whatever the name was. So, yeah, I'm suspicious. Just be skeptical of everything said in this entire debate from anybody.
In front of Congress that he did not. I can read you the quotes if you want the testimony that he never brought up Hunter Biden.
So we're not
Yoel Roth.
sold out to China.
That's correct. The United States is not sold out to China. I mean, what does he mean by that? Does he mean Joe Biden is sold out to China? No, he's not. Just like Donald Trump and everybody else who has over a certain amount of money, they are invested in Chinese companies, Norwegian companies, Russian companies. They're invested all over the world because if the U.S. economy goes down, their stocks won't go down with it. Everybody's money is all tied up in assets. Almost nobody has cash on hand. Having $1 million in cash is an obscenely uncommon thing. Everybody, like Jehovah's Witnesses, have all of their all of their money tied up in assets, in kingdom halls in their case, or international buildings of some sort, whatever. Donald Trump owns stake in Chinese companies, as every other rich person does. Joe Biden and or Hunter Biden owned stake in Chinese companies of various sorts, because that's what rich people do. And Joe Biden and or Hunter Biden, I'm not sure which or if it was both, sold their stake in some of their assets to pay out, as a completely normal practice as that is, as something that Donald Trump has done. It's not a big deal. But Marjorie Taylor Greene and the other people in Congress, the extremists, all subpoenaed his bank records and saw payments coming from a Chinese company, the Chinese stock market, and claimed that the Chinese government was paying them off. Just absurd.
Everything's fine, folks. Go
So what
home,
you're
go
saying
sleep.
is he was lying, so
Everything's
they
fine.
equivocated.
It's not lying. You're reading one quote and you're trying to read it in a certain way. If we
No, you're
look at
right.
the email, we can look at the emails for Twitter, and we can look at the conversations that they were having internally over whether they should have censored that story or not. None
Joe
of them were
Biden
saying.
gets up
None
But
of
you're
them were
putting the
saying.
onus. You're
and
putting the
says,
onus
"I told
on
the
us."
prosecutor-
Wait, Alex. So what I'm saying is, the onus should be on the people who did the censoring, not the people who are upset about it.
Wait,
They
the
are
onus
ones,
by who? It's a private company. Every moderation action that a private platform takes, do they owe the public an explanation on all of that?
No, I actually agree.
Oh, that's super fascinating that he's saying that. You know why? Because at the very beginning of this debate, these guys talked about Gavin Newsom, California, creating hate speech laws.
So you're telling me that if I go to New York or some state and I tweet out like a racial slur, I can actually get criminal action against me?
No, the way the statute worked is that it required the platforms to keep track of hate speech, whatever that means, didn't really define it, and create lists of people who are producing hateful speech and have that available and disclose it. So essentially it was sort of a forced auto-doxing by these platforms. And that's what the
Nonsense. This did not happen.
Democrats do. And so, you can't sort of say, the Democrats aren't going to hurt the social media companies. They do, and they have.
Governor Gavin Newsom today announced that he signed a first-of-its-kind social media transparency measure to protect Californians from hate and disinformation spread online. AB 587 by Assembly Member Jesse Gabriel will require social media companies to publicly post their policies regarding hate speech, disinformation, harassment, and extremism on their platforms and report data on their enforcement of the policies. Okay, great. I don't see a problem with that. Yes, YouTube was shadow banning people for the longest time because we didn't know what their policies were. Absolutely, I love it. Post it publicly. Tell us what is going on. It's just a bill designed to create more transparency about their hate speech, about their policies. It's not telling them that they must have this instituted or whatever. They must blah, blah, blah. It's saying they must have it listed on their website what their enforcement policies are. Very different. Isn't it interesting that they were complaining about that just a few minutes ago and are suddenly now endorsing that idea? They're saying that this is fascism, literal fascism, and within 20 minutes of saying that, endorse it and say it's a good idea, we should be doing that, and they're pissed off we're not. This has got to be a joke, right? I honestly, sometimes I sit here and I think to myself, am I right? I think to myself, I'm 100% sure that I'm correct here. 100%. But then I realize Alex Jones is just as sure that he's correct. A while back, I had this moral conversation, this moral debate, if you will. During the 2020 election, Joe Biden v. Donald Trump, a bunch of Trump supporters printed off stickers of Joe Biden pointing at something that said, I did that. And they went around to gas pumps and stuck them to the gas pumps, right? Pointing at the gas prices, saying Joe Biden is responsible for that. That is illegal. That's actually vandalism to do something like that. To stick something on a private company's stuff that way. It's against the law. Plus, there are regulations about what you can stick and where, basically, on gas pumps specifically, because they're so heavily regulated. But anyways, that's against the law. But if it's right and nobody realizes that it's right, or if you believe that it would save the country or save people's lives for them to get this information, is it justified to do? Jehovah's Witnesses stand at a subway stop at, near my house every single day. They stand over there and they spread their garbage all over the place in the subway. Technically, I think it's a public, location, the subway stop, not private. But they all stand there and push this stuff down people's throats all the time. And there are these things called anti-witnessing stickers you can get. They say things like Jehovah's Witnesses are the world's largest doomsday cult, or Jehovah's Witnesses protect pedophiles, that kind of thing, right? And the idea is you're trying to alert people to the fact that this is going on, and you can take that sticker and stick it on the wall near where cart witnessers put their little carts. And they won't stand there anymore, because peeling the sticker off is not easy, and so on and so forth. But isn't that exactly the same as the gas pump thing? I mean, I've justified this to myself that the anti-witnessing sticker thing is okay, because gas pumps are unique in that they are a service that everybody uses practically, for one thing. And for another thing, there are a lot of regulations about what should go on a gas pump. But I'm just as sure that I'm right about Jehovah's Witnesses being damaging as they are that they are right about Jehovah being real. I'm just as confident. In fact, they might be more confident that Jehovah is real than I am confident that they're wrong. I always leave room for the possibility that I'm wrong about anything. There is no room for the possibility that they're wrong about Jehovah being God. So, what do? Do I, because I'm not 100% confident, I'm 99% confident instead, do I not put these stickers up? Am I supposed to be careful about what I do, or what? How do I do this? I have to lay down ground rules with the understanding that I might be wrong. So here are my ground rules with the knowledge that I could possibly maybe be wrong about Donald Trump being evil and Joe Biden being maybe Joe Biden, I could be wrong. Joe Biden is evil. Donald Trump is really working for the people. That's possible. Let's just assume that that's the case for a second, right? For the sake of argument. How can I come to the conclusions? How can I come to true conclusions about this stuff? The answer is there is an objective truth here. There's an objective fact to be found in this equation. Things are either objectively true or they're not objectively true. So I can go to Jehovah's Witnesses website, look up the name Jehovah, look at their justification for believing that that's God's name, and then look it up in secular scholarship and see that they're wrong about that. They're wrong, they're lying, something. I can also accept that I'm not supposed to stick things on gas pumps. There has to be some line. There have to be some ground rules that we can all agree to for the sake of our own morality, that we're not going to use violence against people, for example, or whatever. We're not going to lie to accomplish our goals. There have to be ground rules. The problem is that these people don't have ground rules. I'm talking Alex Jones and whoever else is up on stage here, Donald Trump. They don't have ground rules. They're more than willing to destroy people's lives, to hurt people, to straight up lie in service of, quote unquote, the truth, what they believe to be the truth. Same as Jehovah's Witnesses. They're willing to lie, cheat, manipulate, whatever it is, through theocratic warfare, that doctrine. They're willing to do all of that stuff to accomplish their goals. I'm not. I think that's wrong. That's the difference. So anyway, back to what these people are saying here.
You and I have just gone back and forth
should
here.
every moderation action that a private platform takes, do they owe the public an explanation on all of that?
No,
Here is how I go about determining if Alex Jones is lying or incorrect or whatever. I look at what he says. I note that he is opposed to, social media not having transparency. I note that he thinks that social media companies should be required to reveal what they're doing, how they're enforcing their hate speech law, or their hate speech regulations, who they're using it against, all that stuff. I look at the fact that he says this, that he holds these positions, and I just step back like 20 minutes and note that he just complained about that exact thing. The guy is lying. He's completely full of it. Does he know that he's, spouting off nonsensical false information? I'm not exactly sure. I guess intentionality is an aspect of a lie, right? If you aren't intentionally twisting the truth, then maybe it's not a lie. Maybe it's just not being factually correct about it. But there's a plethora of stuff that Alex Jones is wrong about constantly. How do I deal with that? How do I grapple with the fact that he's wrong nonstop? I am just as confident as Alex Jones that I am correct. And the only method that I have to determine that I'm more correct than he is that I can look at scientific papers to determine if what he's saying is accurate or not. And according to all of this information that I have at my fingertips, he's wrong. That is the best that I can do. Unfortunately, Alex Jones doesn't have those same scruples. He doesn't have the same moral stands, moral qualities that I do. He is an ends justify the means type of person. I am okay with lying, cheating, manipulating, stealing, whatever it takes to convince people that I'm right. And how do I know that I'm right? Well, I just know. I think that the way that Alex Jones thinks is fundamentally flawed. Again, he would say the same thing about me, wouldn't he? Hal Sparks is liberal. Not sure why Alex had him on. Nonetheless, Hal maintained that Alex lies purposely, and stuff he said during breaks proved he knew he was lying and scamming his audience, who he thinks is stupid, according to Hal. And Hal is legit. I've heard similar things from, what's his name? From Secular Talk, from the Secular Talk guy. Kyle Kalinske, that's his name. I've heard similar things from him. He's stood, or maybe it was David Pakman that was talking about this. One of them stood behind, the scene behind the stage with Alex Jones, getting ready for this debate or whatever. And Alex was saying really questionable stuff that made them believe that maybe he was lying about it intentionally. Who knows for sure? I don't know. But I do know that the things that Alex says are factually incorrect. They're built on false premises. It just, it scares me to know that the people that I'm battling, Jehovah's Witnesses, Alex Jones, whoever, are more confident than I am. That is, bizarre to me. Of course, I view complete confidence as a detriment. No one should be completely confident about anything, in my opinion. Anyway. All right, let's keep listening to these nutter butters.
Actually agree.
Why not?
Hunter Biden for president.
Wait, hold on. Here's a really important question.
Well, actually, no. In all seriousness, when you sign your terms of service to any platform, that is binding. And if you change your laws, and the courts found this out in the Alex Berenson lawsuit when they came up with the COVID strikes, and that was the policy. So they didn't follow their own policy.
In general, Section 230 protects them. Berenson was very lucky.
He got lucky. I know, but the judge judge was able to hand it to him by saying that because they didn't follow their own.
Yeah, I don't even know what the hell he's talking about right now. This sounds like complete nonsense, but who knows for sure. These people have a tendency to just make shit up or just simply repeat the nonsense they hear from Fox News. So who knows for sure, right?
Policy which he had agreed to and just banned him outright because they felt like it, that they had actually broken their agreement with the user. So yes, they do owe it to the users.
But if I was Twitter, or if I was, my concern actually, as somebody who's a free speech advocate, I do think that we are in a unique time in history where these platforms allow information to diffuse so quickly. And you could plant a fake story, if you were smart enough, that could potentially turn people off to voting for a candidate.
If you were smart enough.
You mean like what the media does to Trump every week?
That is an issue.
See, this is another thing that I'm talking about right here. Somebody, I don't know who it was, is pointing out the fact that it's possible to plant fake stories and make, make a huge mess out of everything, U.S. democracy and all of that stuff by doing so. That is ethically wrong to do, right? Planting fake stories. It's possible that could happen. And the people on the right, feeling attacked, seemingly, say, what, you mean like what happens to Trump? What does this have to do with Trump? I don't care about Trump. Yeah, sure, okay. Fake stories about Trump, whatever. I'm talking about the fact that planting fake stories is wrong. It's like they're using fallacy after fallacy. This is how I go about determining that I am on the correct side. When I find people using fallacies or trying to get around moral problems with like cheating or manipulating or whatever, that's when I realize that whoever I'm listening to is incorrect. I don't know exactly how they're incorrect, what they're incorrect about, but they are no longer of value, and the things that they say are no longer valuable. That's the way that I see it. So, basically everything that these people have said on stage, Alex Jones and the people on the right side of this, I've discounted it completely.
Right, so if that's an issue, how do we avoid that? Well, we can go back and forth about, whether or not
having that governor on it is more dangerous.
Don't interrupt, Brian.
Let the public figure it out. Listen, they censored Trump. Since when has a U.S. president been censored off a platform?
They censored Trump? Well, I mean, he violated their terms of service. This is another thing I'm saying. Like, this is how I go about determining if these people are full of shit or not. He violated their terms of service. It's completely justified to remove somebody, no matter who it is, for violating their terms of service, period. That's just what it is.
For no reason.
But you agree with that?
For no reason, they said. No, he violated their terms of service. There was no, there is no reason behind it.
Since when has a U.S. president been censored off a platform for no reason?
But you agree
they have
with Alex.
dictators on there.
Alex, you agree?
Take Trump off.
You would agree, though, it is possible to float. Somebody who's creative enough can float a sensational story that all of us would go, "What?" and then change our vote.
No,
and then
I agree. So we need the CIA to protect us.
No, I'm not saying that.
So the guy is pointing out it's possible that somebody could manipulate us, and Alex Jones says, sure, so we need the CIA to protect us. Like, he's just discounting it out of hand. Basically, he's saying, yeah, I would rather fake stories circulate than anybody warn the social media companies that fake stories might circulate. What?
I'm
saying that is an issue, though.
So
right?
I'm old
Yes
enough.
or
When I was going to the supermarket with my mom, there are all of these things called the National Enquirer and the Daily Globe.
Oh, yeah, I remember those things. I used to go to the supermarket with my mom, too, and see those stupid things. God, what was it? One that really caught my attention was something like they were following Bat Boy, and, like, Bat Boy was... he found a place to live with Hillary Clinton or something like that. I don't even remember now. It was ridiculous. And I was like, what is this? To my mom. She said, that's just a National Enquirer. It's fake. But unfortunately, there aren't people around to tell some kids that stuff's fake, I guess.
With these absurd, sensational stories.
Right, true.
Nancy Reagan is having sex with aliens and is taking over the world.
We would get wise.
I mean, people are laughing. That's real. That stuff is real. They really say that stuff, seriously, on the covers of these whatevers.
We get wise to it another way.
Well, and all of the good suburban matrons were going past, looking at them and reading it.
Right.
Now, nobody thought that that was real. No one thought it was a threat to national security.
The reason that they don't think that that's real, the ones that do realize, is because it's the National Enquirer and they commonly run satirical stuff. Sometimes you can't tell if something is satirical or not. Sometimes you can't tell if it's real. Look at the Babylon Bee. It's supposed to be satire, but half the time it's saying things in a satirical way that they really do believe. Okay, r/conservative. Let's just go there. Let's scroll through. Okay, there are people that believe that this is trustworthy because it's on Reddit and they see the article and they just trust it. It's largely trustworthy in their eyes. It has been in the past. So they just scroll through r/conservative and they find these articles and these videos that have been doctored, by the way. Let's just scroll through and look here. Democratic representatives comment about needing more illegal aliens for redistricting goes viral. That's simply false. Like, what they're saying here is false. It takes 7 years to to make it so that undocumented immigrants can vote. It takes a long, long time to go through the process of getting citizenship and registering and all that other junk. It's not something that you can just do. Just bring undocumented immigrants into the country and move them around so that they can sway elections. That's not how it works. It's not how it has ever worked. Also, a lot of undocumented immigrants coming into the U.S. are actually pro-Republican, especially people from certain areas of South America who feel they've been burned by left-wing governments before. They'll do anything if it's anti-socialist, anti-communist, anti-whatever. So, like, this stuff is just false. It's built on false premises, all of it. Look, Boeing CEO assures nervous flyers, if you're unfamiliar with what's going on right now, a Boeing airplane just, like, the one of the doors just flew off of the airplane mid-flight, and everybody is nervous about it. So we have a statement from Boeing here. Boeing CEO assures nervous flyers that all 737 aircraft are built to the highest diversity standards. The highest diversity standards. What does diversity have to do with our flying safety? Absolutely nothing. Except when you click in, you see that it's a Babylon Bee article, and it's marked satire. How many people are going to notice that, though? This r/conservative isn't like the National Enquirer, where it's obvious to everybody that it's fake. You know, Bat Boy has a relationship with Nancy Pelosi or whatever. It's not obvious to everyone that it's fake because it's not in a fake satirical context. It's in a news reporting context. And sometimes satire pops up and is poorly marked. People just scrolling through this subreddit, reading things as though they're real. And they're going to come across something like this and assume that it is real. Here, look. One person gets it. Man, the bee is savage. They got it. It's satire. Look at this other person. We want the diversity of aircraft here at Boeing. High quality, mid quality, and low quality. Quote unquote. It's from a fake article, and 7 people fell for it. This isn't even satire, says another commenter. Nearly every corporation in the S&P 500 is going for broke with insane equity and diversity policies. No, that's not happening. So we've got the full spectrum of people here. We've got people on one end of the spectrum which recognize that it's satire. We've got people on the other side of the spectrum who don't realize that it's satire and think it's real. And then we've got people right in the middle of the spectrum who recognize that it's satire, but think it's real anyways. This guy who recognized that it's satire, but believes it anyways, probably started out as this guy right here who doesn't even know that it's satire. This is what I'm talking about. When you see things like this on r/conservative or other conservative like news aggregators or even just plain news websites, when you see things based on false information like this constantly, nonstop. I literally scrolled down. How many things did I scroll down here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was the 6th thing in the list. I scrolled for all of 45 seconds before I found full-blown misinformation being transmitted and believed by others. Here is why I'm not a Republican. If anybody ever wondered, this is the reason right here. Because you can never tell what's real and what's fake. Because half the time, even when it is satire, half the time, when it's not marked as satire, when it's not satire, it's perfectly mimicking satire. You can't even tell the damn difference between the two. I'm not a Democrat, but I'm certainly not a Republican. No chance in hell would I ever be a Republican because of shit like this right here. People recognize that in that context, that's nonsense. But when this is all they're fed, when all they watch is Fox News, when all they're hearing is this stuff right here, when all they're seeing is either satire or mimicking satire, What can you expect? Do you really expect any differently than for people to be fooled? I mean, it's constant with Red State, the website, with what was it? There's another Federalist something. There's some crazy website. InfoWars. I mean, InfoWars is like the National Enquirer of news. They repeat this stuff regularly, but people still believe it. Republicans will still buy it, no matter what. It's insane. Anyway, that's my problem with it right there. Let's just scroll down one more little section and see if we can find... See, it's mixed in with factual things, but they have a right-leaning slant. Army sees sharp decline in white recruits. Maybe that's factual? I don't even know if military.com is real. Probably not, because it's a .com website rather than .gov. And who cares? So what? Why does anybody care if it has a sharp decline in white recruits? This is one of the most popular at the very top of the list. In the stream of right-wing nonsense is the message that things like Wikipedia or like any other source of information is illegitimate and factually wrong and lying to you and everything, when I'm literally picking out things that are just straight up lies. Anyway, I'm not sure if military.com is reputable or not, but I honestly don't know why anybody would care if white recruits are down. The number of white recruits are down. I don't think it's much of a surprise to anyone anymore. To me, the bigger surprise is they still let the shit continue when they still aren't hitting their recruitment goals. Okay, so this person, I guess, is implying or inferring, I guess, that the military is intentionally rejecting white recruits? Where did that come from? How did he come to that conclusion? DEI should DIE. Wow, great. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is what DEI is, by the way. Most companies and organizations or whatever have diversity, equity, inclusion departments to try to, bring in a variety of different people and work with a bunch of different people. Let's just scroll down here. Large numbers of recruits come from veterans' children. Well, now you have a lot of vets telling their kids to stay away from the military because it's gone to shit with the garbage being pushed by its politicized leadership. What garbage? What politicized leadership? What are you talking about? It's like, they are more confident than I am that they're correct. Again, they're more confident than me on this. But when I see straight up factually incorrect things being said constantly on here, what else am I supposed to do? What else am I supposed to assume? But that this is not a source of truthful information. Anyway, that's why I'm not a Republican, for that reason right there.
The point is, there are always these fantastic stories about famous people. And it's only when the liberals have the control to shut conservatives down do these become threats to the democracy.
Right.
And that's very dangerous.
Yeah, since when did the left become anti-free speech? Look, this is anti-American. It's antithetical to freedom. It's all a lie.
Well, it's not just the left
they
that
can
does
confuse
this.
it all day long. No.
Like, I don't even know what they're accusing the left of right now.
I'm against the Republicans putting warnings on songs in the 80s. What the left's done is like the left claims the right wing's banning books. No, they don't want child promotion to 5-year-olds.
Okay, that's not happening. Again, this is another example of factually incorrect information. If he's lying, I don't know, maybe. But this is wrong. This is incorrect. This is why I'm not a Republican, because every time I listen to a Republican speak, it's factually wrong. Like, there's every culture war issue that they lean on is factually wrong. In the 1950s, before segregation officially ended, there was a black family that moved into a white neighborhood, and there was absolute outrage over it. Unadulterated, pure outrage. The KKK entered the town and started spreading lies, straight up lies, and propagandistic framing.
Some of the people are definitely against integration. And they have told my children that they have to marry. And my child doesn't even know what a is, but from the sound, it has scared them, and they have come home just crying, Mommy, do I have to marry Negroes? And my answer in handling all the fears that children come in is that you can marry whomever you wish.
This is what I'm talking about right here. This type of thing is still happening in the Republican Party right now to this day. We're sitting here listening to this kind of thing happen. These culture war issues about the trans community, they're leaning on legitimate fears and twisting them slightly. It would be a legitimate fear if 5-year-old children were being given trans surgeries or even being encouraged to get trans surgeries. That would be a legitimate fear. Except that that is not happening. At no point has that ever happened. Actually, it's against the law and always has been against the law for anybody under the age of 18 to get bottom surgery, basically. That is not happening. Has never happened. But here we have people like Alex Jones and others making claims like that. That, you know, they're reading porn, basically, to children. These books are like being handed to children so that they can read this. No, that's not true. Or the claim that gas stoves are being taken by the left. No. Nobody ever said that you can't have a gas stove at any point. The Biden administration, I believe, pointed out a while back that there was that basically the gases that come from a gas stove are as bad for you, especially for children, as secondhand cigarette smoke, basically. It's not good for you. So it's preferable to get away from gas stoves if possible. Use like induction stove or something. That's what was actually said. It's just a simple report put out by the government that they discovered this. And what did Republicans say? They said that Biden is trying to ban you from using gas stoves. That is factually wrong. The culture war issues that these people rely on are factually wrong every single time. So that's why I'm not a Republican. You know, let's keep listening to these people.
Telling you're not going to give Penthouse magazine to a 7-year-old is not banning Penthouse. It means you don't sell it. Like, not selling cigarettes to an 8-year-old is not censoring people to get cigarettes. So
that none of this is happening. This is completely fabricated.
the left says, oh, the right wing's banning books. It's the left banning speech and surveilling us and controlling us.
He literally just justified banning speech. I mean, if it were real, if that really was what was happening, I would be okay with it. If they were intentionally removing pornographic materials from first grade classrooms, yeah, that shouldn't be in there. Everybody can agree with that. 100%. That's not how this is playing out. That's not what's happening. People are banning books, just like the KKK back in the 1950s. These people are trying to portray really, really bad behavior on the part of Republicans as good behavior. Well, no one wants to be forced to marry a black person. Like, everyone should be free to marry whoever they want. Everyone can agree with that, 100%. That's not what the KKK was doing. That's not what anybody was trying to do. The KKK was trying to freak people out by claiming that people were doing something that they weren't. And here we have Alex Jones doing the exact same thing to this day. Why are these people on the side or using the same tactics as the KKK? Simply unacceptable in my mind.
And we all know it, and it's allied with the corporate fascist, and it's a fraud. It's that simple.
And so I know we do a Q&A at a certain point when we get to towards the end of the panel, but
like literally everything that these people said was a lie, just about. An objective, factual, affirmable lie. We can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt these people were not telling us the truth. They were not truthfully representing what they said. Or they were not truthfully representing reality. So what do you expect me to do why would you expect me to believe a word out of their mouths when everything they say is a lie? I thought it was kind of interesting. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I just, like, it drives me nuts when people just blatantly lie and it goes completely unrebutted. So tell me your thoughts.